Hi and welcome to craddybrain.co.uk. Today we thought it would be interesting to have a look at this E2 wireless electricity monitor, which we managed to pick up from the effigy stand when we were at the Gadget Show live a couple of weeks ago. Now, as you can see on the box, this is a device that claims to save you up to 20% off your electricity bill. Now, we're always kind of wary about these type of products because we're never really sure if it will exactly save you 20%. But this product isn't really going to save you 20% as such. It's more of a kind of a monitor which allows you to monitor your kind of electricity usage within the home. So you do have to actually put a bit of groundwork into this from the start. So basically, the more that you put into the device in terms of information, and the more you kind of write things down, the more you'll get out of the device. So in a sense, you could save up to 20% simply by monitoring, for example, if you turn off a monitor or you leave it on standby, how much electricity that is actually costing you. And in that sense, it's really quite an interesting product. But what we kind of want to do today is we want to show you how this works, and just kind of turn off and on a few products just to show you really how much electricity that you could be kind of wasting around the home. In terms of the installation, well, in the box, we have to admit she's probably got the most comprehensive manuals that we've actually read in a long time. The instructions manual's not massive, but it's got clear step-by-step instructions on actually how to install the device. What you'll get is you'll get a sensor unit and a transmitter and this monitor, which is here. All you do is you need to locate your your electricity meter, and then you clip this sensor onto it. Now I'll show you that what we did downstairs in a second. So what it's got is gives you a series of diagrams which actually show you what the different types of electricity meters look like, and it also goes through all the stages that you'll need in order to kind of find the cable that you need to attach the sensor onto. So in that sense, it's really comprehensive. It does actually state that if you have three-phase supply or economy 7 meters, then you may require additional sensors. Now we've got an economy 7 meter ourselves, and we managed to kind of clip it on to one of our cables, and it seems to be monitoring the electricity supply reasonably okay. So it all depends really on how you've got your board set up. So you may need to speak with your electrical supplier just to get a bit of information. What you'll also need as well is you probably need a copy of your last bill, because you want to kind of know how much kind of price in pence you're charged per kilowatt per hour. So you kind of programming that information into this unit. When we first started, we kind of used the default values of the which are kind of recommended in here, but obviously that's not going to apply to every single kind of electricity supply in every area. So you do need to get a little bit of information to hand before you actually start setting this up. You kind of get a rough idea on how this actually works in a second. So let's just go downstairs for a second and we'll show you actually where we plugged this in. As you can see, we located our meter, and it tells you basically in the diagrams which cable to plug it onto, and all you do is simply clip this kind of sensor on here. There's a cable that runs off it, and then you plug this into this box. Obviously we've just got this hanging down, but you can actually probably mount that. You then kind of link that back up to this monitor. That essentially then forms a wireless connection. Now I think it states in the manual that it's something like a range of 40 meters, which is not too bad. Once you've actually got the actually wirelessly linked, you'll see a kind of an indicator here showing you the signal strength. But we must point out this does require a certain amount of batteries. This requires 3 batteries in here. I think they're AA batteries, but like I said, we'll put all that information on our website anyway, or we'll link it to the video after we've actually edited it. Once you put the batteries in that unit down here and here, you go through a series of things like linking up your setting the time and that sort of thing. Then you go into the device, you hold down the mode button, you're telling it obviously what voltage you're using, what currency you're using as well. Then you've obviously set in your tariffs. Now it does explain about the tariffs here, but we've set two tariffs here because we have an off-peak and a peak kind of time. So in other words, we're kind of charged a different amount off-peak as we are to the amount peak times. It'll all become self-explanatory when you actually go through it. So for example, we set the kind of peak time starting at 7 o'clock till 12 o'clock at night. We said it's set at sort of like 22 pence per kilowatt per hour. Tariff 2 is set at say 4 pence per kilowatt per hour. Obviously we're just using these as a kind of a rough example about how you could set up the device. But essentially what you've got then is you're actually telling it your carbon kind of emissions. Now it does mention this in the manual that you can download from the accompanying CD or online. Now they've got some kind of equation for working this out. Obviously we have to hold our hands up and say we're not kind of too au fait with this, but so you may need to either study the manual or contact your electricity supply. So in other words, you're kind of really seeing how much carbon is kind of released per kilowatt per hour. Once you've got all that information programmed in, you can either switch between the options with the mode button, and you can go through these different modes which tells you really kind of how much kind of cost per hour you've used in terms of electricity and also your carbon and that sort of things. But the best one is obviously to have a look at this figure here. We'll come on to that in a second actually, because what this figure does, it shows you how much electricity is being used when you switch on an appliance. So we're going to show you some real world examples of that in a second. The other things the function button does, it allows you to show you the average kind of kilowatts per hour, but also the history. So we've got today's history, but we could also go this week, and you've got this month, and things and so on and so forth. But you do also have some accompanying PC software, which we'll just quickly show you here. So there you go, you've got this kind of PC software. You can import the data into your device and you can kind of see kind of rough idea of costs. You've got these kind of different graphs and things like that. You can also do a tariff checker, so you can actually simulate tariffs. So you could obviously, you could possibly see how much another electricity supply would be charging, and you can actually implement that within your calculations. So essentially this is just kind of a more visual way of actually recording your information. So what the best thing to do is really, you need to keep a kind of a logbook really with this device, so you can actually make a note of how much electricity is used per device. Now if you just keep an eye on that monitor for a second, we're just going to turn on our electrical fire. Now we'll just turn it up, and you can see really it doesn't go instantly, like it's not within an instant second. It takes a couple of seconds sometimes to register. You can just see how much of that kind of total has jumped since we turned on that electric fire. Let's just turn that off for a second. A few seconds to kind of register the changes in the electricity usage. You can see then it's just dropped back down. So you can obviously make notes of how much electricity is used when you're turning on certain appliances. For example, we've got the monitor on and the computer on at the moment. So we just turn off the computer just for a second. So we just close everything down. So we just close everything down. turn off the monitor. So we've just turned off the monitor. You can see there's an instant drop in the consumption there. We're just kind of going through the process of turning off the computer as well now. So you can kind of really get a good idea on how much electricity is being used. All this information can then be fed. Obviously you can actually monitor and plug this device in with a USB cable and then see it visually on the PC. So while that's doing that, we'll just turn on one of the lights. So we've now just turned on the light so you can see how much electricity supply is being used there. Just turn that light off. So it's just we just find it quite interesting, really. Obviously, there's a lot of work you have to do. I would say it's not kind of a thing that you're going to be able to save 20% instantly. But if you can imagine, if you go around the whole house, turning off appliances, turning them on, making a note of how much electricity is used, then you can start to build up some history here and kind of really start to save on some money. For example, if you're leaving your products on standby, it's just amazing how much electricity is used just simply by turning off kind of devices like your TV from standby. Obviously our PC is still turning off at the moment. No doubt it's possibly doing Windows updates, possibly. Let's just have a look. Okay. That's better. We forgot to turn some programs, so it's now shutting down now. So the PC is now kind of turned off now. Let's just see how much electricity is saved for that. So it takes a few seconds to register. So there we go, really. So you can see there's quite a big kind of drop once the PC's been turned off. But hopefully that gives you the kind of idea what you can do with this device. Everything's included in the box. I think the product costs about £50, but we'll need to confirm that on the website. Obviously, whilst that does sound like a kind of a lot of money, the money that you should save by just investigating how much electricity kind of you're using, it kind of warrants the cost in some ways. We think it's a really good product and well worth the investment, really. You can carry this monitor around with you. You've got a little stand as well. You can carry it everywhere with you. Once you've actually built up a good list of some history, obviously you can use the PC software. You can hopefully save the 20% as it states on the box. But that's probably enough for now. Hopefully you've obviously got something out of this video. We'd just like to say thank you for watching and stay tuned for more news and reviews from cradybrain.co.uk.